Well, I started by asking some friends and be like, hey, I know that you got married here and everything. What did you do? So I was kind of like given few contacts from lawyers in the beginning. So that's how I started tackling the process by calling actually these lawyers, immigration lawyers, and asking for information. But of course, it was also like an expensive thing to do because a consultation is not cheap. So it would go from 100 to a $250 consultation fees just to ask questions on what to do. So then I started, researching a lot on the internet. And it was a non enough process for me because obviously in the beginning it felt very intimidating. I feel like we all know that how the immigration process here is portrayed as a very intimidating thing. So I would be researching, very motivated, and then at some point I'd be like, this is too hard. I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to start from. And then I would just give up and not think about it for months and then, pick up the thing again. Because even before getting married, we were already looking into information to not put ourselves in a difficult position. I think I talked to three or four attorneys. I did have one attorney that seemed very knowledgeable. She was very good. She's from New York, and she actually gave me most of the information I started with. The green card phase, like the first part, it was around $9,000, and I was like, I don't think I can do that. It was really a lot, and that was not even including my kids in the process. And then after that first consultation, I started doing my own research on and off, as I said. So I kind of like educated myself on the thing. So then when I did the other three consultations, I kind of had like an idea of what I was gonna, face. And so those three were actually a bit disappointing because I felt like I asked questions and I remember one of the attorney being very outdated in a way that I remember reading a lot of articles about how nowadays interviews are being waived and everything. And the lawyer was literally like, no, this is impossible. Interviews are not being waived. So that gave me a signal of, oh, maybe this attorney is not really updated on what is going on right now. So maybe it's not the best choice. I was very meticulous when it came to these consultations because there were specific informations that I wanted to hear. So when I was not hearing them, I'm like, I don't think I can trust this. Also because, as you know, it's a lot of money to spend, and I was like, I really want to be cautious when it comes to that. I started looking at videos, and that's how I actually found you guys as well. But I found someone else before you that I saw also had like a huge following, and this was through TikTok actually. And I believe he is based in California. So I did set up a consultation with him. He was very vague. And then I also asked one of the specific questions I had. It was actually about the kids. I was like, can I file with them? And his advice was, you file for yourself and then you can file for a tourist visa for them. And I was like, I do believe that I read that if I apply for a tourist visa for them while I'm in the process, that's going to be rejected because they, of course, know that I'm trying to get them here without going through the consular process. So that gave me a huge red flag again. And I was like, okay, I don't think this is the best choice as well.
You also told me that you were speaking to somebody else. Like you basically almost went with somebody else. It was
Oh,
like,
yeah. Actually, yeah, I forgot about her. She was not an attorney.
like for a filer or like a paralegal, something to that
I
extent.
believe it was like a paralegal. I think I was Googling and then I found her contact, sent an email, and then she started calling me. And we had a few consultations. And the thing about her was that, yeah, she was not an attorney. So I was like, is this someone that is only experienced in the area but doesn't really have the knowledge that I'm looking for? And also she did give me like few quotes. One was with me individually and the other one with my kids, and it was very confusing the way she made these quotes, and I kept going back and forth asking, what do you mean, what do I need to pay up front and everything? And then basically she was like, okay, you can pay um on installment, but then the moment I file the papers, you have to pay everything. And I was like, I do know that if I sit down and have all the documents in 2 weeks, then that would mean just like a 2 week difference from the first payment to the whole package. So I was like, it's still not helping me. I had no means of providing $12,000 in the span of a month, and it was not an option. You have an overview of what you're doing. You're just like, I would have paid $12,000 for someone else to do it for me when I'm still the one providing the documents anyway. So thank God I find you guys. Really, my end goal was to do this process as quick as possible and with a reasonable price, honestly, because of course, even if you are married to a US citizen and you educate yourself on the whole process, the whole thing of like not having at least my papers in the process was something very scary in a way for me. Like I wasn't at peace because once your papers are in, you have the excuse of saying, hey, this is the letter, USCIS is processing my immigration, so I'm good. But while you're floating and there's like a lot of uncertainty, immigration in the US does sound pretty threatening, like being deported and being banned for years and all these things. So I really wanted to get it done as quick as possible, and of course with a good price. I basically overstayed my visa, which I knew it was going to be forgiven anyway. But for some reason that was not giving me peace. I was like, the fact that my visa was overstayed and it was not expired, but just overstayed. I was terrified of the idea of, being in the list of being deported or something. I was told by people that maybe I should have done it alone. And I was going through forums and Facebook groups before joining your group, trying to read and see how doable it was. And I did read of people like doing it on their own, that it was actually very easy and everything. But my situation was, I didn't want to take the risk because of the overstaying and because of my kids. And then later on, seeing how you manage the whole program, that was like a proof to me that I made the right choice, because there are details that even if you are capable of reading and understanding, the forms, there are few things that you wouldn't know without the expertise of someone that is doing that on a regular basis. The amount of forms and where do I start from? What do I need to prioritize? And then the not having someone, that would specifically tell me this is how it works. Because I think one very good thing about your method is also having the group where you can compare your experience to others that are going through the same process. I feel like in the other forums and groups that I would find online, it was very scattered, like very different cases, someone coming from DACA or these kind of things. And it was too many information, but no guidance at all, which is something that I got from your method. I had the guidance, but I also had testimonials and experiences from people going through the same thing. So I think that combination was really good. So I remember started watching your videos on TikTok, and I felt like it was very short videos with a lot of information, and they were kind of reflecting whatever information I was actually finding online by researching. So I'm like, okay, that must be true because I've been reading these things too. And then I remember even before getting married, because I was watching these videos, I probably followed you and started liking some videos. You messaged me on Instagram and you were like, hi, I would like to know, what is your situation? Are you planning on going through this process? And that to me was something comforting in a way. And I'm like, you kind of gained my trust straight away because you were like approaching me when I was like in this whole being, almost clueless about this whole thing. Well, we had that conversation, and okay, I already had like kind of like a previous knowledge from I probably watched all your videos on TikTok and YouTube before I even started talking to you. And all the questions I was asking, you had a great answer, or you showed that, okay, we're going to look into this and find an answer about it. And then the fact that you were offering a group where you could compare your experience. And you did mention to me as well during the call that you were offering a consultation every week. So we could, set up this thing where every week I have my questions and you answer them and everything, which I believe it's not something that you could do with an attorney. You cannot be calling them every week. They would just be like, I will let you know when something happens, and that's it. And as well, the fact that it was actually a surprise to me when you told me that, okay, this price includes the whole process from, getting the green card, removing the conditions, and then all the way up to citizenship. And I was like, well, if I go through an attorney, if it's 9,000 the first, the first chunk, then you can imagine you're going to go up till at least 15,000 just to do the whole thing. So those were the winning points. He was very involved throughout the whole process, even during when I was like, doing all the forms and everything. He was sitting there with me and he was like, check what you write down, check it twice, make sure that everything is signed. So yeah, he was very supportive through the whole process as well. I think it's if you watch the videos, it's, excuse my word, but I think it's idiot proof, like it's a step by step. And not only that, because you can also find videos on YouTube where you have people like, I never watched them, those, to be honest, but you were adding informations to it. Like sometimes I would go through these videos and I remember having my forms printed in my pencil. So I was like filling the forms while watching your videos. And then I would be like, but yeah, I have a question. So I would write down the question. And then after a few minutes, you would give me the answer in the video. Like without me even contacting you or anything. Like you had those informations in the video already. So that was amazing, honestly. It's like, it almost felt like sometimes having a personal class where you would explain the whole thing, because as I said, I would have a question, write it down, and you actually would provide the answer already. So, and I don't think you can easily find that anywhere else. You wouldn't have that access with a lawyer. And now, a lot of the things I've gone through this process, I can kind of explain it to someone else if I had to, because I really understood. Like you really explained why things should be answered in a certain way, when a lawyer would just pick it and not give you an explanation because they don't have to really. So it's not just having it done, but it's also understanding it, which is a side that you don't get from an attorney. I first enrolled, I believe it was the first week of January of this year. I was very motivated. So I was like, I need to get this done now. And I believe in a couple of weeks, I almost had everything ready. And we had this Wednesday meeting and I was showing you all these papers. I was like, what am I missing here? What am I missing there? And I think in 3 weeks max, I had everything ready. Like all documentations, everything printed, and pictures and medical, because the medical I think I did the following week of joining the program. I was pretty confident because the program goes through everything up to even showing a picture of how the package was supposed to look like and how to put all the forms, which is something that might sound silly, but it's like when you're doing a homework in school and you see your classmates and you're like, oh, that's how I do it, that's the amount I have to, so I think it's right.
Cool.
So even seeing that to me was very useful, and the opportunity of talking to you every week give me the chance to show you even the bona fide evidence and to be like, is this the right way? Do you think I should change something? So I was really confident when I sent it. I was like, I got everything. And I believe that because I feel like that's the only area where you have more freedom and do it like on your own little way to show the evidence. So maybe there's a way that is not the most appropriate or it's not very effective, let's say. So having access to you every week, as I said, give me the chance to actually verify that. And yeah, I was pretty confident. Then there was a stagnant phase where I almost started worrying, but then I was like, hey, Ariana, it's been 2-3 months. It's because I feel like the process in the beginning was so quick. Then after the work authorization, I started feeling like, what now? And then I would read, posts everywhere and even on our group, and I would be like, what about mine? But then I would have to remind myself that, hey, there are people waiting for years and nothing's happening. You got your work authorization after 17 days, which is super quick. I was almost on that high that I wanted everything to just, come to an end very quickly. So yeah, there was like, I would say 3 months where there was no movement. And in the beginning, I was checking like almost every day. And then it started, fading where I would do it like twice a week or once a week. And then I calmed down a lot. Also because I had my work authorization. So at least I could work legally.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't think anybody's gonna kick me out. Now I'm working, I'm paying taxes, and I'm pretty regular here. I have my husband and everything. So I was pretty calm. And it was almost like just a comfort thing to go on the group and read about other people's experience. And I was like, this is gonna happen for me soon.
So you submitted everything end of January, and then June 27 is when you were done with the whole deal. And then it didn't take you long to receive the physical green card either.
No, I think it was like a little more than a week. No RFEs, no interviews, no anomalies. Everything was super smooth. Yeah, I was doing that a lot actually because it did. I did post a couple times, I believe, and the responses were very quick as long as they were like in the working day. And then during the weekend, yeah, you have this access where you can just search with the keywords and then previous posts would kind of come out. So yeah, that was such a great tool to have during the whole process. And of course, the culture of the community and everyone supporting you was amazing. Sometimes I would be sitting with my husband with the forms and be like, I'm not really sure about this. So we would be like, okay, there's a call on Wednesday. Let's just write down the questions. And the fact that you asked the questions to be submitted before the call was even better because, of course, then you would already have the time to look for the answer. So it was not on the spot thing and be like, okay, let's set up another call. No, it would be very quick in that sense. So, and that provided a lot of comfort, of course, with the even just little confirmations. Remember when we were going through my forms and be like, is this right? Is this okay? That was a big help. Of course, every case is different, but if you really want a peace of mind, I think doing it through this program is having the doing it alone and having an attorney mixed together, but in a more trustworthy way, if that makes sense. Because as I said, attorneys, yeah, they have the knowledge, but I think that also the involvement in the with social media and having the possibility to talk to a lot of people, and we do know that nowadays, a lot of people get their information through social media.
Oh,
Is making it easier to actually keep yourself up to date. Nowadays that's way to go, and that's why I would totally recommend doing it this way, because you have the part where you do it on your own, but still with very good guidance, so that you have control over your process, you understand your process, but still have the access of someone very knowledgeable whenever you feel like you have concerns. I'm just very thankful, and I do not regret at all joining this program. You were a big part of the success of my journey, so I'm really thankful. I feel proud, and I actually tell people about this group all the time. Like I had a couple of friends. I have a friend in New York that I was doing the same process. She went from a working visa here in the US to getting married. And she was telling me about how she has an attorney, that she paid a lot of money and that she was not really getting updates. And as well, when I was like, kind of like comparing the cases, and I was telling her, yeah, did you send your medical straight away? She was like, no, I didn't. I was feeling like, I have the knowledge and understanding now, and I can see how going through an attorney is not really giving you that. So yeah, it's amazing. Then I had a friend actually approaching me and asking me, hey, I'm about to get married, what do you think is the best way to do this? And I was like, just contact me when you do, and I actually have someone that I can recommend for this process, and it's going to be the right choice.